Wednesday Night Live. Sorry, wow, that was a loud cough. I am Jimmy. We do this every single Wednesday where we gather together on Instagram and YouTube to discuss the happenings of the week and enjoy ourselves, usually with a beverage and a dope guitar. Today's dope guitar is brought to you by this 1967 Yamaha SA something. I always forget the name of the model, but it's cool. Go through. We got a few questions on Instagram. Also, if you want to hear me in glorious, illustrious stereo, head over to YouTube, where we're also streaming. David on the bass, a nice little delay there. Pretty, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Cameron Abrams says, "What's the glitch coming from?" That's coming from my LVX. So the sound that we're hearing there, I'm going to turn the reverb off, is actually a combination of, it's a combination of the LVX and the H90. So the H90 is using just a stereo, I think it's a quarter note and half note, or basically a slow, like left and right delay, digital delay. And my JRig pitch glitch is the one that's doing all of the pitch up and down. But when it's fed into the H90, which is more like standard delay, you get this cool staggered effect. Yeah. And then, of course, layer that with some JRig Prism. Microphone could be turned up a little bit. I will do that. I will do that. Let me see what I can do here. I'm gonna turn you up on the preamp side. That's pretty loud. Then I'll turn you down on that end. That should be a little bit better. 1 second. Yeah. I got questions on the minivan. Lopez Party said, "How fast does the minivan go?" I want to know. We haven't bought it yet. It's been a terrible experience so far. Oh, it's been so bad. Gelio said, "Any thoughts on the Valveton GP100?" Oh, you're welcome, Jared. Thanks for letting me know. I had no idea. No idea what that is. How fast does the minivan go? Yeah, doesn't know. HX Stomp does more better than, I'm assuming, than the Valveton thing or whatever, something. JD Harris says, "Your wet effects really got me wanting to get a Mercury X and LVX and run it with my Helix." Yes. Yes, you should. Yes, you should. You should, absolutely should. They sound great. We had a good day. We had a very good day of Q&A. Very good day of Q&A. Sorry, man. I don't know why I'm coughing so bad. Yeah, good day with Q&A. Bad day at the dealership. That's all I'll say. Yeah, let's see. Cameron said, "That's 6 to use it live or too unpredictable." Regarding the pitchy glitch things. Hey, I use it live. I mean, it's usually within moments that are kind of slower. In fact, I used to layer a few different sounds where I would layer the I used to layer that into the CXM 1978, which was also cool. Now the thing is that it's not crazy unpredictable. It just gives you, think of it like this: if you have a sound or a series of parts where you don't want it to be like perfectly time locked. Well, granted, these are in sync with each other for sure. And so I could probably change the delay to have maybe like a dotted eighth and an eighth note thing, a dotted eighth and a quarter, or something that's more common rhythmically. But I like the whole idea of something that's static and then that being affected by something else. So I don't mind it being unpredictable, if that makes any sense. This week I decided to do some readjustments on the pedal board, as is expected. So a few things. I took the Case Study Studio compressor off the board, and I replaced it with the Keeley. So currently using Helix native with the David Hislop amps and stereo. Sound like this. This is the Keeley. Yeah, I took the Case Study off, and granted, I love the Case Study. Case Study was a great compressor. I was wanting something that was just a little bit more familiar, and I'm very familiar with the Keeley, and also the controls are a little easier to navigate, I found. So yeah, made that switch. It took me a lot longer than I expected because I was in my head. I'm thinking, well, if I'm gonna go do that, maybe I'll do a different pedal order or pedal whatever system. And that was not good. That took me down a rabbit hole that I was not expecting to go down. But it's okay. Here we are. So the Keeley, dude, the Keeley is a great sounding compressor. It's $99, but don't let anyone make you think that it's not a good compressor. It's still good. And the Case Study, maybe put on another board, or maybe I'll put it back on this board whenever I get a chance. But yeah. So what else did I do? I also put the Solo Dallas Storm back on the board. However, I did not have any room for it. I don't have any room for it on the top because I'm a glutton for punishment. And I still have the Mastermind PBC 10 when I probably should have bought Ethan Marshall's PBC 6. And so I have what's it called? I have the Storm on the bottom of my board underneath it because I'm running an angled board. Lopez Party said, "Why no Cali 76?" I don't have one. I sold it. Yeah, so I put the Solo Dallas Storm underneath my board, and I'm running it at the end of the chain, or at the end of the chain, the actual drive pedal chain. Just because I wanted something. Idea behind it was that I want something that can kind of facilitate limiting. Kenyon Reed did a video about it somewhat recently, and I thought it was pretty cool. It was kind of a nice thing to try putting at the end of the rig. So so this is just the dry amps, right? Compression. JD Harris said, "You also love the Tonex so much you put 4 of them on your board." No. Bro. No. I'm assuming you're talking about Lopez Prado. But yeah, me no. Dude, I have had such a difficult time with the Tonex. Oh, the plugin. Just the plugin. I'm ready to call it quits on that thing. Anyway, amp. So like I said, I'm running the Helix Native with the Hislop amps. Sounds like that. This is with the Keeley compressor on first in line, and then the Storm at the end. So it's kind of funny. It's not doing a whole ton. It's a slight volume lift. Right? But if I put, say, like the Nordland, right? Which is kind of a little gainier. Yeah, Anthony. Yeah, the Solo Dallas Storm. Okay, so then if I put the storm after that, it's just a little bit more, and it kind of does it lifts it up just a little bit more. I'm gonna... David Carry On said, as a sound guy in the CCM space, your outlook on guitars are so refreshing. No smoke and mirrors. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I try. One of the things I attempt to do is, try to be as transparent as possible. That's kind of the first thing. And the second thing is just be fair, Lopez Party said, "Will I lose my individuality if I get the same Storm pedal?" I don't know. Here's the cool thing. So the Storm is an interesting pedal because I've had it for a while, and I've used it a few different ways. I actually used it when I first got it as a replacement for a compressor, which was kind of cool. It was actually very cool. I take it back. It was very cool. Because the limiter it's a limiter. So, if you want a very harsh cutoff at the top of your notes, of your transient of your notes, then it's kind of great at that. And then obviously, using it for gain and boosting and all that kind of stuff. So it's a nice texture, that is kind of less character filled than the rest of my drives. So, currently I have the RC booster at the very, very beginning, which I can be on or off depending on the guitar I'm using, right? So right now I am using it because this guitar is kind of lower output. After that, I have the Keeley compressor, then the Nordland ODR, then the Case Study Aspen, then the Klon KTR, and then after that is the Storm. So those are the sounds that I'm able to get. So that's the Nordland. This is the Case Study. It's kind of interesting. Gain-wise, they're all pretty comparable. They're very similar gain-wise. But obviously, as you stack them, that gives you a little bit more. Someone asked me today about the settings on my Case Study. And I'll tell you them right now. So on my Aspen Overdrive, I have the two switches in the up position. The gain is a little under 9 o'clock. The tone is at 9 o'clock. The volume is at noon currently, and the bass control is about 1 o'clock or 1:30. I like it a little bit warmer because I found that when I stack it with other things, it can get kind of harsh, or the stacked element of it can be kind of harsh. But part of that is probably just because I'm using it with a Klon. If I do with the Klon. Yeah, like that. But now I can also stack it with the Storm, which is a little different. It's a little different. David Carrion said, I need more baritone guitar inside scoops. All right, I'll pull the baritone out. It's right here. Alrighty, here we are. I'm not one to name my guitars necessarily, but I did name this one. Sorry, it's been a while since I've used this one, so it's a little out of tune. I'm actually looking to modify this one a little bit. One of my buddies, Brady Neely, he did some mods to his to kind of make it a little bit better of a guitar. And there you go. Here we are. It's such a great guitar. Oh, yeah. I'll take that over an acoustic in a bridge all day. No idea what you're talking about, but yeah, sure. Stephen Thompson asked, what amps are you using here? I'm using Helix Native currently at the moment. Mostly because my amps are kind of spread out throughout the city of Houston at the moment. My main rig is at church currently. Not intentionally, it's just there because of reasons. And then my AC30 is still at the amp shop getting work done. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with. How many of you guys liked and shared and posted Anthony Gross's Eventide video? Or Eventide post, H90? I know I did. So I did a few things recently to my LVX presets, and I'll update them on Dropbox here soon. I wanted to try and get a little bit more character into the repeats of the delay. There's a few different ways you can do it. One of the things you can do is you can use you could maybe use like the tape delay, which has a little bit natural grit. I've always preferred the digital delay on the LVX for reasons, and so what I did in this case was I put the tube preamp in the feedback loop of the delay. So what happens is you get a little bit of grit as the repeats are going. You hear it slightly saturating. Turn the feedback up. Yeah. So that is it's like faux oscillation, something like that. Have you experimented with some dirty sounds after reverb? Yes, I have. On the Endorphins Ghost, I had that when I had the very, very big board, which is still kind of tempting to go back to I mean, I have all these things and I like using them. So maybe I will at some point go back to the big board. Hold on a second. It's still always an option, and I want to keep it in the back of my head, and yeah, my back pocket. I mean, so yeah, but yeah, it's a distortion after is a pretty cool sound. Yeah, so I did that with my delay presets on all of them actually. So JRig 8th and JRig dotted 8th and the digital Pong, the Digipong, the ping pong one. So now what's interesting is with the 2 preamp, now the Digipong kind of, it seems to bring it up front a little bit more. I love it so much. And then obviously if I want to, I can stack the Digipong with my Eventide like straight delay, which then, you know, does kind of what Jake's presets do. Or I can do, where is it? Kind of like the video of the that song. What was the song? What was the name of the song? The song that we've all done a million times and we got kind of bored of. Oh, when I was doing the. I can do that too. Build My Life. That was the name of the song. JD Harris says, I have a delay like that. It's doing that, like diffusing the reverb thing. Yeah. Yeah. People are commenting on YouTube and Instagram. That's awesome. I forget. It's been such a long time since it's been done. It's kind of funny because the version of that was so much fun to do. But no matter what, we're still kind of sick of the song. So that's why we haven't done it. Yeah. David Carry On said, you think baritone... Do I think baritone guitar is an easier leap for a rhythm guitar player? Honestly, dude, the baritone's tough. It is a tough guitar to kind of learn because it's so big. It's just like... I'm going to see if I can sit back so you can kind of get a visual of just how it feels. So, like, I'm sitting... it's even then. So if I'm sitting back here, normally I might be playing guitar in this register. Like, if I'm playing, like, my Tele or my Les Paul. But on it feels like my hands are out here. it's kind of silly. It's just oh, gotcha. Sorry, yeah. By the way, you can call me Josh. Just have JD as me. Okay, got it. Cool. Josh. So yeah, I mean, baritone is fun. I have people on YouTube also commenting. I'm considering buying a baritone. Is there one you recommend? So a lot of people like the Danelectro ones because they're not terribly expensive. The thing is, they are very, very cheap guitars. But I think baritone is one of those kind of guitars where it does a thing, and let it be okay with doing that thing. You don't need to have like a $3,000 baritone. Like you can, I mean, you can if you want to, but you can also just get away with buying a. I paid $250 for this one, and I've not really done anything to it. I mean, it's kind of noisy. Actually, let me turn that off. It's kind of noisy, like the switch. Hard to tell now. I don't know. It's not a quality guitar, is what I'm trying to say. And so, it's okay if it's, you buy a kind of cheaper one. I know Gretsch makes a baritone, like a pretty decent baritone, and then obviously there's this one. The nice thing about this one is that it has such a unique sound, so I don't feel like it's competing with other guitars that I have. I had a baritone years ago that was like a Tele with Filtertron pickups in it. And I found that I didn't want that guitar as a baritone. I wanted other guitars as a baritone. And so when I had the chance to buy one like this, I bought it because, this type of guitar with these type of pickups and all that kind of stuff, I'm really only going to use it for the baritone thing. And like I wouldn't try to do baritone on a Strat or a Tele or even any other like kind of primary normal type guitar things. So having a dedicated guitar that's kind of distinct and does like, it's almost like you want to do one thing, and this kind of does one thing, and I'm okay with that one thing because that one thing is freaking dope, So yeah, that's kind of what I'd recommend. I'm liking the trails and the delays with the tube preamp in it. So, yeah. A few things cool happening today. Obviously, Anthony Groves posted his H90 giveaway, which is awesome. I know a lot of us have posted and shared that because we want some of that H90. But, yeah, we're all trying to do the same thing. Good for him, though, man. I know a little bit of the backstory on it, so I'm happy. I'm super happy for him. But yeah, what's going on with y'all? It is Wednesday. It's been a rainy Wednesday down here. We have a bunch of tropical storms and such happening. So it's been very wet. Been very wet. Turn this off. Gotta do a little something different. Having a baritone is so much fun. It causes me to play very differently, and that's a very welcomed challenge because sometimes I can kind of get stuck into a certain style. Josh said, "Well, I've taken up learning piano, and that's been very interesting." Yeah. Hold on a second. Right, Anthony. Right, yeah, you got hacked. Sure, that's fine. Sure, you got hacked. I know the backstory. Yeah. I mean, so good luck, everyone. I hope you all win. Candace Settler Music says, "Do you have any tips for a better IEM mix? Can't tell if it's me or the general mix. Um. Okay. Yeah. So my mix. I have a drum heavy mix. I like having drums that are kind of big and punchy. Obviously, guitars are loud because that's my instrument. But what I would say is, in terms of, okay, yes, Lopez, it helps when the band is good. Yes, that's kind of a given. But that being said, what I would do is, I mean, there's a few different ways you can do it. One way you can do it is have them position your ears about how they are positioned on stage. So if you're more to the left and your other guitarist is more to, sorry, if you're more to the left and the other guitarist is more to the other side of the stage, maybe even if it's a stereo mix, I would say have them be more panned to that side, or not panned, but level wise. I follow the kind of advice of like the what I call like the Bethel guitar thing, where if you have two guitars, two stereo guitars on stage, have one of them be more left dominant in level, not in panning, in level. So if stereo guitars are here, have one that's like 5 or 6 dB quieter, right? Then on the other side, you do the opposite. So then their right side is, or their left side is 5 or 6 dB quieter than the other side. So that's kind of what I do. Obviously, I play guitar, so my levels are balanced. Also, I don't have a ton of vocals. I have enough vocals where I can hear the vocals, but that's pretty much it. I prefer to hear the band really really good. Yeah, I mean honestly, just I don't know. I don't know how else to say. I mean, hope you have a good band and a good mix. Jake Odell on YouTube says, I'm retubing my amp for the first time and I feel a little bit of loss. Any expertise to share? Yeah. So first things first, I would say if you are retubing your amp, I mean, it goes with that question. Find the tubes that your amp needs. Find some general layout of it. A lot of amps have the layout in the actual amp cab. At least I know Matchless does. The other thing I would say too is check and see if your amp needs to be biased. That's a simple Google search. Does, if you have a deluxe reverb, does deluxe reverb need to be biased? And if that's the case, then I would recommend bringing it to an amp tech to do it. I know it's more work, but yeah. Anyway, back to the mix thing. Yeah, I guess just kind of, I guess figure out what you want to hear and kind of go from there, Yeah, people are commenting personal mixtures helps too. Like I said before, I like hearing drums pretty front and center in my ears. Not front and center; they're panned, obviously. Things like I like the toms to be panned, not hard left and right, but kind of left and right. Actually, that is a good point. So on drums, I think drums should not be always hard left and right. Like overheads, I don't think they should be hard left and right. I think they should be maybe like 50%. All right, and then your toms can be about the same. Snare in the middle, kick in the middle, hi hat. You can do it maybe to whatever side makes most sense for you, left or right. Just so that you get, because what you want to do is you want space for everything. You want like your guitars, which are going to be hard left and right. You want that to fill up that space, and the drums to be a little bit more condensed. That's what I like to do, because otherwise your mix can get kind of cluttered. Also, depending on who's playing or if you're using samples or not, I would recommend to make sure that you're not having a ton of mid-range buildup or low mid-range buildup, because it's very easy to do with drums, especially toms and snares that aren't tuned all that great. So little things like that. Talk to your front of house person, ask them what they can do to kind of clear up the mid-range. Anthony said, do the same, Jimmy. Keep the drums up and vocals way down. Dude, it's crazy, man. And obviously, depending on the vocalist, if they're one of those vocalists who likes to put their hands out and microphone out, just worshiping and doing all that cool stuff, that's gonna pick up a bunch of stage noise, and that's not cool. So, in terms of click level, one simple thing I do is have the click at a level to where you can really only hear it when no one's playing, or when it's just you playing. That kind of helps me. Then for bass, I mean, I typically treat like bass about the same level as like the kick drum. That's kind of how I do it. Lopez said, Jimmy, have you tried the protein pedal? A lot of people don't like the green side, but I think it's all right. I had a protein for a while, and I never got along with it. Granted, I have a King of Tone, and granted, at the time, I had an original Nobles. So I'm like, dude, it wasn't as good as either of those. So sold it to a friend. And I still kind of stand by it. I think the Nordland ODRC is a better sounding Nobles, right? And then obviously the King of Tone is the King of Tone. Actually, speaking of the Nordland, I'll turn reverb off. YouTube, do you have a dog? I do have a dog. His name is Leo. He's a golden doodle. Also, today I went down to Houston to go pick up my amp, my AC30, and ended up actually not being ready, which is fine. But dude, it sounds so freaking good. If you have an old AC30, like an early 90s one, Rose Morris, or even the TB6 ones, dude, bring it to your local amp tech, have them check the capacitors, see if they can bring the voltage down to the tubes to make it run a little bit cooler. Dude, it sounds so good. Picking up tomorrow, and I'm beyond ecstatic to bring it back to church. So yeah. Nice, Steven, congratulations. They're killer amps. Mine is a 1990 or 1991 Rose Morris AC30. Lopez, does your matchless eat tubes for lunch? Honestly, not really. I actually just had my Clubman retubed. Actually, not even fully retubed. I brought it to my amp tech for him to just kind of give it a look over because it's been a while. And when he looked it over, he's like, "Oh yeah, one of your power tubes is broken." I'm like, "Oh, good to know. I had no idea." So no, I mean, not really. Oh, one of the things I had him do. So I had him work on my AC30 and my matchless, and one of the things I had him do to the matchless was on the Clubman. There's a filter cap. No, there's a filter. There's a resistor on the volume pot that basically allows more or less high end. It's called a bright cap. They're called a bright cap. And you can basically what you can do is you can disconnect it to allow your full signal through the whole time, which does a few things. It makes your tone controls a little bit more usable across the whole volume spectrum. Or you can include it into the signal path, which would be like kind of normal way how Matchless Clubman works. I had him put it on a push-pull switch on the volume pot, so when it's in the, I think it's when it's in the in position, like it's not pulled out, the bright cap is not engaged, so it's not in the circuit, which is kind of like my normal use case for it. And then when I pull it out, I can make it brighter. That was a nice little easy thing I did to that amp to make it a little bit more usable. Obviously, it's been usable for years, but it makes the EQ more usable. Like you can get more from the bass, more from the treble, more from the Brilliance, whereas in its stock configuration, the amp itself is just very bright. So, look, that was one thing I did to it. Then also just, I had a ground loop and a ground hum that was a part of those giving me grief. It gave him grief for a while too, and we finally got that fixed. And now the Clubman sounds dope. So I'll have that and the AC30 this weekend. But yeah, dude, congrats on the 6TB, man. Or yeah, TB6. I forgot if it's TB6 or 6TB. They're great amps. They're pretty difficult to dial in too. So what Kenyon Reed told me was he said start with the bass control, which is backwards from where I thought. Start with the bass control, then move to the treble, and then blend in the cut. And his whole idea was like you don't want it terribly bright. You want to have some fullness into it, into your sound, which worked out great for me. Let's talk about the H90. Originally, I had talked to Anthony about having him come on to talk about the H90. And I had some people ask me about favorite algorithms for the H90. So we'll talk about H90. This is how I use it. So I use the H90 as basically my catch-all for every other effect that I don't have. In addition to some duplicates, right? So for the most part, that's basically modulation and pitch, and some other obscure things, but nothing crazy. I'm not like the LVX and Mercury X handle all of my more out there sounds. So this is my chorus, just the Tricera chorus. Yep, it's a chorus. Sounds good. It's a tri-stereo chorus type style. After that, I have a vibrato, which I run in mono. I do not use a stereo vibrato. I could have done it, but I preferred it in mono. And the way I accomplished that was I basically just brought the depth down, or the width down, and so it's a vibrato. Sounds good whenever you blend it with some delay, some reverb. So that's vibrato. I talked about it with Jake whenever he was on here a few weeks ago. I like a triangle wave on vibrato. He likes a sine wave. So after that, I have a stereo dual trem, which is what it sounds like. It's two stereo tremolos, slightly different from each other. They are in like sync tempo wise, but they're still slightly different, so they kind of meet in the middle at different points. And that's how I like it. After that, I have a flint like tremolo, which is doing a slow harmonic tremolo. Super subtle. Cool thing about this one is that it also has a slight reverb on it too. It's like a mono, like almost like a plate reverb. Let's see, Lopez says, "Do you feel like the H90 compromises sound with having so many effects? I can't believe all the algorithms will sound good." No, I mean, so it's Eventide. If you like Eventide algorithms, you're familiar with it. I mean, Eventide is the one brand of all the brands of companies of pedals that I've used for years. It's the one that always feels like home, no matter what. I remember like when I first got my H90, it had been years since I'd used the H9, and immediately it felt, feels familiar, sounds good. It's kind of weird. Like I don't treat the H90 as like in the same way that I treat the other effects. And maybe it's because my previous history with the Eventide, where I just kind of use them for anything else. I'm sure they can do weird and obscure things. I haven't done a whole bunch with that, you know. Yeah, so that's my I call it Flint-ish. It's a mono. It's basically a mono tremolo, harmonic tremolo, and a mono reverb. Sounds good. After that, I have a delay preset called Streets, which is the stereo ping pong delay. It's a digital delay. It's bright. It's in your face. It's awesome. That's it with the Digipong. It's kind of funny. Me and Jake are kind of the opposite on this. I like having clean delays. So this is a very clean, pristine digital delay. But then if I put it on top of something like the LVX, now it's going to be a little more gritty because you're having this kind of cascading effect. So yeah, after that, so stereo, simple panning delay. After that, I have some micro pitch stuff. Graham Smith Guitar says, "How do you decide to take artistic license in a praise and worship setting?" I think my belief system on like parts and in terms of taking artistic license has pretty much always been don't take artistic license until you know the parts, until you've mastered the existing parts. And the reason why I say that is, you know, parts that we learn on worship songs, these are parts that have been critiqued a lot more than you think. These are parts that have been approved by obviously the guitarist, a producer. And so it's like, yeah, like I'm not saying those parts are the best parts, because you can always change things and make them slightly different. But, respect the musicians and artists and guitarists who worked on those things. That part made the cut for a reason, right? So learn those parts, master them, know them like the back of your hand. Same thing with the tones and all kind of stuff. And then as you're feeling up to it, switch things up. As long as you can always revert back to the original parts, the original tones, and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, feel free to move to have some artistic license. And obviously making sure that it always serves the song, and it's always serving the melody of the song too. So that's how I do it. Yeah, so this is a preset called "Take the Van." It's a subtle micro pitch, and it sounds like there's like a little bit of a delay in there too. Lopez Produce says, "Just let the spirit guide the improvisation." Sure, yeah. Actually, I will say this though, and honestly, big shout out to guys like Anthony Gross who can do this with teams. The ability to flow is directly tied to your ability to improvise. So, if you're a young musician and you're in church circles that are kind of like that, highly recommend that you learn how to improvise. It's going to be a huge, it's going to be a big skill set for you. Yeah, so that's another sound I use on the H90. After that, I use RV5 type reverb that I made years ago for the H9. The bright. I don't actually really use this on the H90, but it's there in case if I want to feel good. Josh Harris says, "I'm back. Hi, sorry my phone died. I got distracted playing my guitar. Good news though, I got very good moodish sound on my Helix. Nice. Yeah, dude, Anthony gets fantastic, really good mood-like sounds, pitchy, glitchy things on his HX Stomp. Yeah, so that's a big bright reverb. In theory, I could, because the H90 is before my delays, I could do that, which is a very cool sound. So after that, I have a warm octave. That's a cool sound. I like it, and it works, but I basically treat that's kind of like my subtle pog type thing. Don't use it a whole ton, but if I want something, I have the octave sound on there, and then I also have an EQ that's kind of acting as the oh, looks like I lost it on Instagram. Do it again. Man, Instagram is lame. They still are weird about the hour, like making you stick to an hour. How dumb. How freaking dumb. Need to do this again. How dumb. Oh, Instagram. But only if you're doing it on desktop. YouTube says, "What guitar are you playing?" I'm playing Dan Electro Baritone. That's what I'm playing. All right. If you are on YouTube, we are back. We are back because Instagram likes to cut you for an hour. They cut you at an hour because they're dumb. Yeah, like I said, Lopez. When you do Instagram Live from your desktop, they cap you at an hour. If you're doing it on your phone, then they let you go as long as you want to. So we're back, but I actually will be heading off here in probably about 10-15 minutes because I got an early morning. But yeah, this is Warm Octave on my H90. Cool sound. Let's see, after that I have my chorus comp. I like that sound a lot because it, obviously you have the chorus, then you have the EQ and the compressor, which is kind of doing what the guys in the 80s did. They really tighten up the low end, boost the high end a little bit, and then compress it. So it's I love it. I love it, especially if I'm using my Strat. Yeah, so there's that. After that, I have a big rotary sound. Purely because we were going to do praise at some point a few months ago, and we just never did it. Yeah, that's it for one sound. After that, I have a kind of another subtle modulation. I had a bunch of people asking me about if the H90 can do the Destroyer sound on the Mobius, and I've never owned a Mobius, so I looked online. Some people said that there was a sound that you could use called Liquid Sweetener that kind of sounded, I don't know. It's a subtle modulation, so maybe. After that, I have that same chorus sound with an octave that's a little bit brighter. Right, so you can do that. You can do it with your delay. You can do it with like a bigger drive sound, like. So you can do that. I probably wouldn't use that exactly like a Pog, but if I were to use it, I would probably do it a little filtered down. And maybe even do something like, maybe with no reverb. Do that, or maybe even do it with the pitch glitch sound. for that's it. So I have 12 sounds that I kind of use. That's pretty much it. I mean, let's see. That's kind of weird. Sorry, I'm noticing some program things with my RJM. Played Worthy by Elevation for practice tonight. Yeah, that's cool. It's kind of weird, man. The songs we've been doing are nothing's been all that we haven't been doing a whole ton. Like nothing's been like all that crazy in terms of like songs we've been doing. We don't really do a whole ton of I say we don't do a ton of new stuff. We don't really like, we don't follow what all the churches are putting out there and kind of go from there. We tend to kind of just do our stuff. I have been spending some time trying to figure out how I want to run my board, and I'm still kind of on the fence of it. Lopez, what's a cool song in your rotation right now? Good question. What's a good song in our rotation right now? I have to go through our songs. I like Fresh Wind. Obviously, that's not a new song. I like Fresh Wind by Hillsong. We've been doing some older Bethel's things. I say older. Well, I guess technically older. Shepherd, liking that one. With You, Elevation released kind of like an alternate version of some of their songs a few years ago called the Paradoxology album. And that those songs are pretty cool. Those arrangements are cool. So With You is one of those. It's a good version. Honestly, I have to take a look at Planning Center and see what songs. Honestly, it's kind of weird. Like sometimes I pay attention to the songs and other times I don't. See, like this coming weekend. You Are Good, yeah. I'm assuming. You Are Good, or talking about King of My Heart. Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of weird. Like in some ways, we don't really do a ton of crazy new stuff. We're still doing Graves and Gardens, Shepherd, Hymn of Heaven. We did Indescribable, the Young and Free song, not the Tom one from a long, long time ago. Some original stuff. Some other older Bethel stuff. Extravagant is a cool song. What else? Some of the newer Bethel stuff, like Surrounded by Holy or Holy Forever. Songs like that. Like I said, it kind of varies. So, trying to do a little bit more. Not new songs, but a little bit more original songs. Obviously, the songs have to fit, and they got to be good songs. So yeah, we should do it like that. Those are songs we play. So yeah, all right. Well, y'all, I'm gonna hop off. It is about that time, and I have an early morning tomorrow. So thanks y'all for joining. me for Wednesday Night Live on both YouTube and Instagram. If you want to listen back or watch back and hear the Tones and Glory stereo, head over to YouTube, check it out. And I'll be here every single Wednesday. So you guys have a good night. Take it easy. It's the summer of Tone. Enjoy yourself. Hold on. One last thing. One last question. Joshua Winchell said, "You're in Texas, right? I've been thinking about making a trip out to Upper Room after the new building has been open for a bit. I got some flight credits. I am in Texas, but I'm in Houston. I'm not in Dallas. So, yeah, you guys have a good night and happy Wednesday. Bye, Tube Amp."